Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. Just in case you're new here, I blog every day at kjaggers.com. I let you guys know that all the time because it's one of my favorite places to be. The link is below. This beautiful Wednesday, I am outside. I know that some of you guys don't like me filming outside. I know some of you guys don't mind. I really like it because I love the fresh air. I love the bright sun, and I just love beautiful days. So I am back with a question and answer video for you guys today. Hopefully this one won't be too long, but you know, for some of my new subscribers who don't know me so well, or even for, you know, some subscribers who has been around with me for a long time, a lot of you guys have a lot of questions, and I thought some direct question and answer videos just sticking to one subject might help people find them easier, might help people, you know, understand my answers, and hopefully you guys don't mind. So today's question is something that comes up a lot, and it's something that usually I just don't really speak of. It is how I discipline my children. So, you know, before I jump into all that, every child is different, and the way I parent Brittany or Jackson or Zane, or even, you know, my stepdaughter Laura, is different than how maybe some other people would parent their children. And, you know, it's best not to judge or try to tell people how to parent children, so I really don't like doing that a lot. But I will kind of give you my opinion on discipline and what I have found that works in my home. It might not work in your home. It might, but you know, it's a very touchy subject, if you will. So, you know, I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm going to kind of tell you my thoughts. So, basically, the way I kind of feel like discipline is, you know, I feel like we're a very loosey-goosey type of house most of the time. A lot of things don't get to me, and you know, things like when a kid spills a drink or an accident happens, I don't get upset about that. And I don't want a child to be upset about something as trivial as spilling their milk at dinner. That's not really discipline to me. That's just being, you know, mean. But discipline, I think, should be taught from when the children start crawling. I think that you should start teaching them and disciplining them as early as you can. And for me, I think, you know, teaching kindness and generosity and responsibility is important, and you can start that at a very young age. As soon as they are crawling, they can learn to put their toys back, and that's teaching them responsibility. As soon as they start walking, they can help put clothes in the laundry, and that's not really discipline. I mean, it is in a sense, but you know, that's not the type of discipline like when they get in trouble, which I will talk about. But I think, you know, when you have a disciplined home, your children just kind of fall in that routine. So like on Mondays, my house gets cleaned every week, and that is a discipline I keep to. That is something I have to do. But because of that, on Sunday nights, my son cleans his room, and because he knows on Mondays is cleaning day, so his cleaning day is on Sunday. Now, I don't really clean his room that much anymore because I feel like he's old enough to really do that. But, you know, teaching children self-discipline on so many things can start at a young age. And I think even if you get off the wagon and you've been somebody who has let your children just rule the roost for years, and I'm not judging because many of us have homes where the kids rule the roost. In my house, it's not so much like that. I kind of feel like it's a little community. They get a say-so, they get an opinion, but it's a community basically in our home, and we kind of make decisions together. And I just think that you can teach everything starting really early, and we have tried that. We have tried to teach responsibility with Jackson and Brittany in many different ways, and Zane. And it's simple things at their young ages. Now, my kids right now, Jackson is 12, Brittany is 13, Zane is 12, and Laura, I believe, is 25. I get her mixed up with my sister. My sister's 28, I think. I get them confused. But, you know, I don't really have to teach Laura responsibility. She's in her 20s. And, you know, we might talk about some things that she is responsible for, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm teaching her responsibility. It's kind of out the window at 25. Even though you really don't quit parenting, you just kind of switch your parenting ways as the kids get older. And I would have never known that with, you know, a 12 and 13-year-old. But Scott and his first wife, I think, had one of my kids, because I swear Laura is my kid, like DNA and everything. We're so much alike. And, you know, all the love and respect to both of her parents, because she's a beautiful person. But you parent different with age, and I wouldn't have known that without a beautiful stepdaughter. And, you know, I think from a young age, you also teach authority, or teach to respect authority. And that's a big one. That was a hard one for me, because I was kind of allowed just to I was in kind of a strict house, but I was still really, you know, allowed to be myself. And, you know, I think that it's a hard lesson, because even in my life, like when my mom is visiting and the kids are acting up and she goes to get on one of the kids, sometimes there's a little bit of tension in between. Should I respect her mom? Do I have to listen to her? You know, she said this, but how do you feel about it? And, you know, overall, I trust my mom. So, you know, teaching kids to respect authority from a young age is important. And that's a hard lesson to teach sometimes. It really is, especially as they get a little bit older and they do start forming a lot of their own opinions. You still have to, you know, keep that going, because, you know, there's so many things going on with the police shootings, with people dying in schools, and kids shooting up, you know, different schools, and things going on. And even in those moments, the kids have to respect authority, listen to their teachers, listen to the police officers. And even if a kid is, you know, like, you know, on some of the shootings here lately and different things, even if a kid is stealing and they are, you know, trying to flee, you know, teaching them to respect authority and to listen to authority will make them hopefully not steal in the first place, but should make them stop. And, you know, it shouldn't go any further where a police officer is pulling a gun on your child and blah, blah. I don't even want to get started with that. But teaching them to respect authority, and you start that at a young age, and I continue that all the way up, even with the older kids. Like, you know, if one of the if one of the older kids was to be mean or hurtful towards, you know, Scott or one of the other children, we would definitely have a talk with them about it, no matter what their age is, because, you know, Scott and I are still the oldest ones right now in our family, which is so weird, besides my mom and stuff, you know, of our kids. And we expect even the oldest child to respect authority. And again, though, we're a very laid-back house, so when I say authority, it's pretty light around here, but, you know, every house is different. And you have to find out what works for you. Now, in terms of actual disciplining, like if Jackson got in trouble at school, or if Jackson got in trouble in the neighborhood for doing something wrong, we are a no whipping family. We don't believe in whipping our kids. Now, I started out saying that. I did. I started out before I ever had children saying, I'm never going to whip the kids, ever, ever, ever. And then Brittany was like 5 years old and was being really bad one day, and I smacked her butt. And I was kind of okay, because I didn't hurt her, and she didn't even start crying. And so we kind of believed that spanking was okay for a very small amount of time. And then, honest to God, the kids got older, and we really didn't have to whip them, and we didn't feel good about it, and we knew it was something that we really shouldn't be doing. The kids got older, and once they hit, I want to say 7 to 8 years old, they didn't need to be whipped. They didn't need to be hit. What we really had to do was make sure what was happening was age appropriate. So if a 2-year-old colors all over your walls and you're really mad and you're ready just to scream, I mean, I totally understand that. That is age appropriate. If my 13-year-old was to write on the walls, that would not be age appropriate, and she would be in trouble for it. So the first way, you know, before I let emotions kick in and my temper kick in, I think about if it's age appropriate. And when you think of that in those terms, it is life-changing. And it was life-changing for my ex-husband. It was life-changing for my current husband, my second husband, I've only been married twice. And it was life-changing for almost everybody I told that to. Because most of the time as parents, we're too quick to get on the kids when it really is age-appropriate. So that's just my opinion. Now, and we haven't spanked our kids in so many years. I think Brittany was probably 5 or 6, and Jackson barely got whipped anyway. I mean, his dad whipped him a little more than me, but he realized quickly that don't do anything but put distance between you and the child. It scares the child. It makes the child fearful of authority, and that is a fine line, respect and fear for authority. But when you get kids being scared of authority, it is more damaging than anything else. For us, what we have found that really works is taking stuff away, you guys. Taking away the iPhones, taking away the Xbox, taking away the TV, the internet. That's a big one. The internet is huge. And sometimes in our house, there have been times when Jackson would not have the Wi-Fi password to sign in. It had been changed. And he would have a list of stuff to do, and sometimes that still happens. So if all week he has put off doing some of his chores, and maybe I've kind of let him go, it's been a beautiful, week, and he's been outside, and say he blows them off, and on Saturday, none of the chores are done, and he's just not really wanting to do them. And he's being maybe mouthy, or just being, a brat. And sometimes, I mean that loosely, I don't mean it like really serious, but sometimes I will flip off that Wi-Fi and on him, and it's very simple to go in and change your password, and then he will have to do the chores to get the password back, which really works well. Now, for my children, listening to me lecture them and go on and on about whatever has happened is like a big enough punishment that they really don't like it. Like, it's a joke, like with my ex-husband and my daughter, it's like, don't tell mom. Well, mom usually always finds out, and when he really wants Brittany to understand it, I'm the one who gets called, because I will just keep going on and on and on and on like the Energizer Bunny, trying to pound it into my kids what they did was wrong, why it was wrong, how we can make that wrong right, and how we're going to prevent it in the future. And those talks can last forever. So that has really persuaded my kids not to mess up. It really has. Now, as your kids get older, you realize, at least for me, I have realized that I am not the only influence in her life, in Jackson's life, that more importantly, their friends are big influences. And I think when it comes to disciplining your kids and getting them into a more disciplined type of lifestyle, you have to help them with their friends. You just simply have to. I never liked this as a child myself, but sometimes you have to and not sometimes, all the time, you really have to be the adult in the situation. You have to take charge and give them a roadmap of how life needs to go. Sometimes there are friends around that are really bad examples, and they're not people you want your children around, and you have to explain why. Now, I don't really like to pick my children's friends at all, but being a parent, there are some friends that I really don't want my children being around. Sometimes there's bad influences, and I would feel much better sometimes if I could pick all the friends. But you do have to pick your battles. And my daughter makes basically straight A's. She's on the cheerleading team. She's beautiful and healthy and vibrant and smart. Gives us very little trouble besides a little bit of a smart mouth. With that, the best way, I think, to avoid kids being that kind of rude to you is actually to take the time and sit down and talk to your children, which I know this is discipline video and how I discipline, but, I think a part of being a disciplined parent is knowing what's going on with your children. And if they are being a smart aleck and they are being rude and they are, hormonal at best, sometimes it's best not to get on them for how they spoke to you, or get on them for being hateful. Sometimes it's best to go give them a hug during that moment and sit down and talk to your children. And I know so many people who do not do this. I know a lot of people who don't have a really good line of communication with their kids, and it really kind of saddens me personally. For me, I don't sugarcoat anything for my children. When it comes to life and boys and education should have came before the boys, but I'm trying to think of the topics I've talked about. When it comes to those type of things, it's not always about solving the problem. Sometimes it's simply listening. So I think all of us probably need to listen to our kids a little bit more. I know a lot of parents work hard and work a lot of hours, and when they get home, just like my husband, they want to flop down in the chair or flop down on the couch and just be done for the day because you've worked hard, you're tired. But you guys should know, and if you're new and to my channel and maybe you haven't had kids yet, you should know that you don't really get off days. You might get a day when the grandparents watch your children for you, or they go to Bible classes or Bible study or vacation Bible school, and you get a little bit of a break, but you don't really get breaks. So even if you're tired and you don't want to have that conversation, most of the time it's going to benefit your child greatly if you just take a few minutes and find out why they are being a little bit snarky. Now, most of our problems with our children are very easy. Jackson does have ADD, ADHD. Actually, I'm reading a new book, and I'm working on figuring out exactly what Jackson does have with the help of the doctors. But, that has presented itself with a lot of challenges. And when you do have a challenging child, it's best not to lose your cool. It's best to stick to a very, strict schedule. It really has helped things. If you are a family who is very loosey-goosey and dinner's at 7, 8, 9, 10 different times of the night, it doesn't really put a good discipline in your child to eat at a good time. So all of your actions, they are watching. I know so many people have said that to me, and I've never felt that stronger than 2015. I have never really felt like my children are truly watching my actions and seeing how I react, really until this year. So I'm kind of learning as I go, just like most parents. And for me, another thing that I really want to say is, I think planting God's seed by His Word and His Scriptures and talking about Him a lot in your children's hearts can only help. I don't believe that you have to haul your family into a church every single Sunday to worship God, to believe in God, to have a spiritual family. I don't believe that. I believe, church can give you a lot of wonderful messages, and you can learn so much from being there. But it's also a social thing, and I think that you can put God into your life, whether you go to church, whether you don't. And I think doing that early and keeping that instilled into your children will definitely make them more rounded adults. So, for us, that is scriptures, that's Joel Osteen, that is church sometimes, that, it is a lot of talking about God, about angels, and, it really does make a difference. And again, some of this stuff, you guys, if you're young, especially, you will learn as you go. And again, you have to suit things for your family. Now, I'm not saying eating at 8 o'clock at night every night is going to make your children bad or make you a bad parent. But what I was trying to stick to or explain is stick to a schedule. It really is easier on your kids as they're younger. It's easier on them as preteens, and it's going to be easier on them through life because kids are going to have schedules. They're going to have things that they have to do at certain times. And, you know, I'm somebody who is never late. If I'm late, I'm really upset. I'm very punctual, and I do my best to, you know, leave in plenty of time. Even when we are taking the whole family, like, I'm a planner. I don't sit around the house and wait on people to get ready. I'm helping, and I'm getting my family ready. And, you know, I'm not in the mirror that long. I mean, seriously. But I think it's just important to teach, you know, everyday manners, which so many people are learning. Like, discipline for Jackson is sitting up straight at the table, no baseball hat, which I'm a little loose on. Scott is not. The baseball hat don't bother me. Eating with his fork, not his hands. Being careful of what comes out of their mouths. All of those kind of things are a discipline that you should teach your children. I think etiquette is a lost art. Even though I slouch quite a bit, we all should be sitting up straight. We should all be teaching our children good values, good morals, good hygiene. You know, all of that is discipline. Now, I think the question mainly, and I know I'm already 20 minutes in, I think the question mainly was, what do you do when your kids are acting up and you just want to whip their butt and scream? Well, you know, I have yelled at my kids. It's nothing that I'm proud of, and I'm sure probably this week I've yelled at my kids in some shape, form, or fashion. But you know, being a little more direct, but still staying calm is really what you have to do. And, you know, falling into the rabbit hole of screaming and of, you know, stomping your foot till you get what you want really usually does not work with children. They look at you like you're a maniac. And so remaining cool, remaining positive, and doing your best, even in tough situations, to be the adult. And for young families, you know, the responsibility of being parents hits them really fast a lot of times. And, you know, like I said, you will learn as you go. Not too many people have, you know, raised kids, and, you know, a lot of people are raising their grandkids. But, you know, raising kids all the way up till they're in their late 20s and they're out of the home, you know, is a lesson. And it's a big lesson. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of trial and error, and you know, talking to the community, such as sports teams and such that your children are on, the teachers, your doctors, your mommy groups. I was really never in a mommy group, so I didn't really have that experience. But especially if you move to a new area and you want to get to know some people, you know, doing stuff like that will all help you get some of that experience to help you manage your children better and your homes and your life better. Now, the last thing, even though we're 22 minutes in and I wanted this video to be fast, I'm sorry, is keeping your kids busy. Now, I know that doesn't sound big, and I know that sounds like, yeah, well, okay. Especially toddlers, they're already busy, right? Well, keeping your kids busy, especially as they grow up into, you know, young preteens, into teens, into young adults, keeping them busy with stuff like art, history, science, museums, sports, cheerleading, cooking with mom and dad. Just keep your kids active and busy doing wholesome, good things, and it will carry on. I promise it will. And, you know, I think whipping is not effective. I think it's painful. I think it's hurtful to, you know, the spirit, the emotions. Hitting somebody is not going to solve anything. Now, I got whipped. I got smacked. My parents were like that. It didn't mean it didn't. My grandparents, I should say that. My mom never ever did that, but my grandparents definitely did, and it was the way they were raised. And honestly, it kind of made me worse, because I thought these people loved me and they were hitting me. And so I don't really believe in spanking. We tried it in those hard toddler years when, you know, you feel like you don't have any other options, but you do. Most of the time, kids are doing age-appropriate things, and you're just losing your cool for probably, you know, reasons that really don't have to do with that. Most likely work-related, or husband or wife-related, or home-related, where the house is a mess, or the kids are, you know, being crazy. But you have to remain in control. So whipping really doesn't work. Yelling, it really doesn't work, yet it can be effective. At least I have found it does. It makes the kids, stand at attention and pay attention. And I don't really think it's good, but sometimes necessary. I think timeouts for young children are wonderful. Keep your child in timeout for however old they are. If they're 3, they're in timeout for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. At 13 years old with Brittany and Jackson, timeout really doesn't work. Again, for that age, it's taking away that stuff. It's taking away the stuff they love the most. It's putting more God in their life. It's putting more mom and dad time in their life. It's keeping them busy. That stuff works. Hitting them really won't. Yelling at them might get their attention. Long term, though, it really will not work. Lectures, again, in my family, they seem to work. My kids don't want to listen to me like you guys do, especially when my talks with them are hours long. And keeping that communication open. I am a parent that is scared to death of so many things happening. My best friend is always saying, don't worry. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And truthfully, it has been. So, you live and you learn. You figure things out as you go, and you do the best you can. And don't forget to pray. Ask God for help being a mother or a father or a sister or a brother. Ask God for help. And I really don't think we should ever discipline, physically discipline anybody else's children. Don't hit other people's kids. And try to be respectful of even the kids you don't want your children around, because there's definitely children in my kids' lives that I don't want them around. And I have limited it in my own way, in a nice kind of way. But even if those kids happen to show up or whatever, still treat them with kindness and respect, because even though maybe they're acting in a way you don't want your children around, they still probably need that influence and that discipline that you have been trying to instill in your own kids. So, always keep that. And, we take things day by day, and I try not to think too far in the future, and I try to leave the past in the past, even though, a lot of times past behavior is a good prediction of future behavior. But for kids, it doesn't always work like that, because past behavior is learning, and little toddlers, and young kids, they're just trying to figure things out themselves. And, if you start having major problems with your children, get them to a doctor or to a therapist of some sort, or to a pastor, and see if there's, somebody in your community that can help. Otherwise, treat them with love and kindness. Timeouts, taking stuff away, lectures, and holding them responsibility for their actions. And a lot of the actions that they do, the best way to do that is with the natural reaction. So, I don't know, they don't clean their room, then the natural reaction to that is, things happening, such as bugs coming into the room. I don't think you should leave it like that. You should make them aware of the natural consequences. And as much as possible, let those natural consequences discipline your children, opposed to you forcing yourselves, in my opinion, on your children, and forcing your own beliefs, hopes, goals on them. Most of the time, kids can find their way with just love, support, and guidance. So that's my tips, you guys. Thank you for sticking around 30 minutes and listening to me ramble on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope wherever it is in the world you're watching today, I hope that it is as beautiful there as it is here. Thanks so much, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want your input into what's in the next question and answer video, you can leave those questions below in the comment section, or you can leave a comment on the blog post that this video is going to be in. I know people watch on the blog and on YouTube and on other outlets that I put my videos on, so I'm not always sure who's watching where. But if you are watching on YouTube and you're new here, welcome. I hope that you stick around. There's lots of videos in the playlist, and you can click on my name on YouTube, head over to my main channel, my main page, and get subscribed. You won't miss any new videos that way. You can head over to my Facebook page and like that. You'll get new updates, and the same with Instagram. If you follow along, you can find me at Kisha Jaggers. The link is below. You'll get new pictures and updates, and be able to follow along. I talk to you guys a little bit more through Instagram. and also through the comments. So leave a comment. Let me know how you're disciplining your children, if it's something you feel like sharing or something you want to talk about. If there's anything you left out, I would love to hear from you. I've said this 1,000 times, you guys. It takes a village, and going through life raising kids as I have so far, I know that it takes a village to do that. It takes your doctors, your pastors, your neighbors, your friends, your family, school bus drivers, teachers, nurses, coaches. So many people will help you with your children as they grow up. That village is there for you, and that's who you need to lean on. And if you're watching this channel and you're a mom struggling in any kind of way, you can lean on me too. I'll be more than happy. You can email me on Facebook or use that form on my blog under the contact me at the top, and I'm more than happy to discuss anything you want to talk about. Sometimes it takes me a little longer to get back, but I will do my best, and I'm always there for any of you guys. So I hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.